Good morning, everyone. Oh, I thought this is Harlem. Good morning, everyone. Oh, okay, all right, good, good, good. So, as the great Clayton Banks just said, I'm Matt Fraser. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for New York City. So I know that, yeah, I like that. I like that energy. Yeah. So that sounds like tech. Some days it is, some days it isn't, right? But the reality is we're long past the days where tech is just a tool or it's something that's relegated just to gaming. Tech is in every facet of how the city operates. And one of the biggest challenges that we had as a city is that the communities that historically has had access to the lease, we didn't put on the priority list to bring them up to par with technology. When we stepped into office in 2021, we were coming off the second wave of COVID. And in some cases, over 50% of the people that lived in public housing didn't have access to broadband. So imagine being a school-age kid, needing broadband at the time where it was most in demand, going home with a tablet or a device and not being able to do things like your homework. And more than just doing your homework, being able to connect with friends at a peer level. Like most kids play Roblox, they play all these other online games. Without connectivity, you can't do that stuff. And then we look at those communities and we wonder why crime is higher in those communities than others. Now, technology may not be the silver bullet that deals with that issue, but it's part of the thing that can bring and affect the quality of life in a neighborhood. So within 9 months from being in office, we announced a program called Big Apple Connect. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure that we went into those communities where people didn't have access and provided them with a pathway to access. So sitting here today, we are now in almost every public housing development. And in every public housing development, they have access to broadband and basic cable as a basic human right. So now they don't have to choose between putting food in the fridge and getting access to technology. But that's not enough, right? When you look at what we can do next, if you look at this like the old proverb, you give a person a fish to eat for a day, you teach them how to fish, they'll eat for a lifetime. When I look at broadband, broadband is like the water, right? You give people access to the ocean. The device is like a tool, is like the fishing pole, and now you have to give them the skills to use those things to feed themselves. So in addition to what we've done from providing access, we're now working on building digital skills programs and device programs so that people that live in these communities can get a pathway out of poverty. It's not enough just to provide access to the water. You have to teach them how to feed themselves, and that's where we have to get to. But in addition to just providing access to the community, one of the things that we also have to do is make sure that in the schools that the youth in these communities are growing, that they have programs that reflect the things that are going to be relevant in tomorrow's world, so we can build them up so as they jump out, they're ready to jump into the workforce. For the first time in modern history, New York City has outpaced this year the number of startup tech companies that's grown here versus Silicon Valley. So New York is very serious about tech, and we're very serious about bringing up those that's been left behind. But being here with you today, a community of people that celebrate and focus on bringing tech to those that historically has been left behind, it's an honor and privilege to be here with you today. And I know I think there's some questions that some folks may have, but what? Yes, ma'am. All right. But again, honor and privilege to be here with you today. And thank you very much for the time and energy. 10 years is a long time to keep anything going. And I look forward to the next 10. Thank you all very much. Okay.
Yeah, I think the last time I saw you was Which Night Development. Where were we? It was in Brooklyn, I think, wasn't it? And you were giving 100,000 people, or was 100,000? Can you imagine 100,000 people getting free cable, Wi-Fi because of your initiatives? We can't say enough about what you're doing for this city. And so many times, I think I've said it, people I cover said they couldn't see themselves on television, couldn't see the stories, couldn't watch, couldn't be informed. And now they have access because of you and your initiatives. Thank you. Thank you so much for what you're doing. It's almost mind-blowing a little bit. And the fact that it's taken this long, but now you're making it happen in a fast way is incredible. So now we're going to do, I think, a panel now, empowering our youth. Is that right? Oh, let's moderate some questions. I think we do. You want to take some questions?
Do we have a second mic?
Maybe we can take the mic. All these mics will be on in 1 second. Oh, yeah, we'll take one. That's a good idea.
All right, I'm from Brooklyn. I can hear you. Talk to me.
I'm going to stand up. My name is Crystal Glover. I'm a New York City Housing Authority resident, and I want you to know that the New York City Housing Authority gives money to tenant associations. It's called Tenant Participation Activity Funds. And most of the New York City Housing Authority tenants associations, 95% of them do not go by their bylaws. And they're being allowed to function any way they feel like it. Now you can go online and you will see that how NYCHA gives millions of dollars to tenant associations that they're not using. The only time you hear them using that money is when they're having family days and they're giving out hot dogs and hamburgers. So you got money sitting there. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna shut up. Any of you who know anyone living in New York City Housing Authority, the poor people, disenfranchised, socioeconomically deprived, all those names that they got for us in NYCHA, well, guess what? The tenant associations were formed to be the conduit between NYCHA and management. But they don't teach the tenants about tenants associations. When I became president in 2011, they put infill in my development, which was under Bloomberg. And what did we do? We hooked up with the Urban Justice Center, and for $4,000 of our TPA money, we got a lawyer, and infill was cut. They was gonna put 3 buildings under my watch. One in front of my building, one on the side of the school, and one and tear our management office down. And we fought. The lady's waving her hand, I'm gonna shut up.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna ask if you had a question for the CTO because he's gonna need to leave soon.
Right.
And
I
if
just
there's a
want this
question.
information to get out because
I understand.
You're putting technology into NYCHA, but most of the residents won't even get the information
Okay.
because the tenants associations are not reaching out. Once they get in, the politicians get in their head and they no longer serve the purpose that they were meant to get in there for. So,
We really needed to hear this. That was something we really needed to hear. And even though, the CTO can't be here that long, I'm certainly believe that you'll take in what she said and perhaps even talk with the mayor
and everybody else about that. So it's a good thing. We're going to start with you, and then we're going to get you guys in just a moment. So go ahead. I'm going to come to you.
Yeah, if they don't talk into the microphone, it'll be on the screen.
If you okay.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Betsy Coleman, and I live in Flushing, Queens. Yeah. Do you have this program in Flushing, Queens? So we need it.
Yeah, so for all the housing developments, the NYCHA facilities that are in Queens, they should all be in scope, and you should have access. Do you live in NYCHA? No, I don't. Oh, okay. So beyond NYCHA, we're now working on expanding the program to folks that are also recipients of other subsidized housing. So if you get things like Section 8 or things along that lines, we're working on bringing that forward. In addition to that, there are other programs that the carriers have if you have a certain income threshold, which is called a Lifeline service, where you can get low-cost broadband, I think at $20 a month or something along that lines for most carriers. But I'd be glad to have someone from the team connect directly and follow up. Yeah.
And you can talk to Marcus. Marcus.
Greetings, Dallas Lee Bell, a Manhattan brother who lives in downtown Brooklyn.
Okay.
There's a distinction. I'm not a Brooklynite.
Well, I'm a Brooklynite.
That's
Be careful.
We link arms and we link aims.
Yeah.
Thank you for mentioning that this opportunity program coming out of your office is going to be made available to those of us who are in subsidized housing, supportive housing, fixed income, low income housing. Because I reached out to the office that takes care of the kiosks.
Yes.
Said we need a kiosk in front of the building. So we have great access if we walk around the corner past the hotel.
Yeah.
But said my building, a lot of seniors, a lot of people with heavy disabilities, we need the kiosk in front of our building. And they said, sir, we'll get back to you. Is that the equivalent of the check is in the mail?
Well, it could be, but when we talk about things like placements of link kiosks and things along that nature, there's surveys that are done to make sure that where we put that equipment, we get community board approval. So when they say they'll get back to you, it's very likely that they took the site down and they're putting it on a priority list to get in front of your community board. If the community board agrees, then we can deploy a kiosk in those areas. A lot of times what happens is if we try to put something somewhere without getting that pre-approval, we usually get a lot of kickback saying, it's not that we don't like the technology, but you just can't put something here without talking to us. But I can definitely follow up to see the building and see what we can do about that.
Peace. I was in the Bronx, in Soundview, when you and the mayor made one of your early announcements about bringing NYCHA into more of having access.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned we need to do more. I'm hoping the do more part, because from tech, a major part of that is designing software. A major part of that is the nuts and bolts of how you put something in front of people that they want to see and buy into. So could this program or your initiatives at some point branch into the skill set to this now new audience that has access to maybe get skills later?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think we're doing things on twofold. One of the things that we're doing is we're looking at how New York City services are presented out to the public. I mean, I make this joke all the time. Maybe I shouldn't, but I make it all the time. It's like, when you go to nyc.gov right now, every third click takes you to 311. You're never sure how you got there, but you always find yourself right at that page. And I said the way that site is designed, it's not designed for people that are looking for services. So we are in the process of taking all of our services and moving it into our MyCity platform. We started with childcare. This week we relaunched a business portal with an AI chatbot that's focused on giving real answers to people that are looking to start businesses in New York City. So in addition to building and redesigning, we want to go into those communities to start building skills that the people of the community can use to participate in the system. So it's more than just giving you skills, but also you need a pathway to employment. I think what you'll hear as we get towards the end of the year about a program that we'll be launching, it will answer a lot of the questions it will answer the question that you just put out. But there's something coming very soon. And that's more than the check is in the mail. There's something really coming soon.
We got second to the last question here.
Great, good morning.
Good morning.
Being here. Mr. Fraser, I'm the founder of Grandparents Around the World. We were in existence for 20 years. We around the city, but we really focus on Harlem. And the question I'm asking is 2020, on Zoom, we had to went straight to Zoom. And what we're doing right now, what is going on with our organization, we are having a lot of issue connecting seniors to technology. Do you have any information, or can our office come and talk to you in reference to that?
Sure thing. So under Mayor Adams, we created an office, or we created a cabinet for older New Yorkers that was focused on bringing equity to those that are aging in the community. That includes bringing technology, both devices and access. We've launched a couple of gigabit centers. One gigabit center was in an older New Yorker facility. And in addition to that, we have other programs like upskilling and device programs where we can bring in. So Leslie, if you can connect directly and you can plug her in with Daniil, then we can get a conversation going between the organization.
And write this down. Silicon Harlem, all right? Actually, Silicon Harlem, that's email me. MR.BANKS. What's that spell? You got that right. At siliconharlem.com. We do a lot with seniors, so we love doing that. We'll even give a few of them computers.
Good morning. I'm from the Bronx, Sandra Henson Simpson. I'm a senior at the Parkside Center. They are helping us out. They do bring a young man in to teach us how the technology works. But another thing, I live in the development, and I don't know how many questions that 50 words when I call 311, do the mayor gets those informations?
Yeah.
Because I've always call 311 and they say 50 words a minute and that's it. But do you check those emails out?
Yeah, so everything that comes into 311 for the first time in the city's history, we built a dashboard where we can look at not just our responsiveness to 311 complaints, but we can also look at the efficacy of the response. So I'll give you a very good example. When you look at potholes, right, there's a pothole in the street. Someone called 311 and say, hey, I see a pothole, I made a complaint, and then a day or two later, they get a note saying that, oh, the complaint has been closed. It's been completed, the request has been completed. They walk down the street, it's like, well, the pothole's still here, it hasn't been completed. What we found was that there was a misalignment between when we say something is complete and what a customer or what a citizen expects to be complete. So we were closing the request when we referred it out to a vendor to go fill the pothole. We didn't close it out when the pothole was actually filled. And that's the metric that people are actually looking for. So to your question, we're now taking a closer look at all things that are coming in through 301 to make sure that we're responsive in a way that the people actually expect us to be. That is that is a fantastic question, and I would have to get back to you on that one.
Let me just say this, because I like all the things that you just said, but particularly about how you started. Data. And so 311 is all about the data. So when you make a call, it gets recorded and it gets put into a database. Here's the good news. You are all able to access that data. Now,
100%.
You might want to call my company to help you learn how to do it, but you can actually, we actually did a dashboard also built on the dashboards that you guys have been doing from the city perspective, but we did a dashboard particularly for Harlem. If you haven't seen it, call us, email, we'll send you to it. We hope every store will put it up, and it goes from, you know, data about noise, data about the air quality, and yeah, there's a database on rats. So we have all that kind of stuff. Hello. So, so when you're making that 311 call, we do get that data, so we can help with that. And if it does cut off or something else like that, we can identify that. So I'm glad you brought that up. We're going to have to move Mr. CTO out of here. I'm sorry. Can you do one last question?
Of course,
here?
of course.
Okay.
I have two things to say. The woman that asked about 311, every year in March, they have New York City Open Data Week, and they've had it for like about 10 years.
That is correct.
Right, so you might want to check that out. What I do is, for 8 years, I'm a Wikipedian, and I'm with AfroCrowd Wikipedia in New York and New York City Wikipedia. And we train people on how to use Wikipedia, how to add content, how to use linked data, and it's really easy. So I can, if anybody is interested, I can do a presentation, I can share information. We go to global conferences, and I've been doing it for 8 years. And we would love to get some more seniors involved, and young people, both.
I'm going to advocate for that. I like that.
I like that.
I like that. I really did. I look up on that all the time, and it does create some opportunity for people, because a lot of people don't know how to actually put the stuff in there. So the fact that you can train people and all that kind of stuff, that's amazing. Yeah. Matter of fact, won't you put mine up? Well, listen, okay, thank you. So I just wanted to, once again, one big hand for our CTO, Matt Fraser, the rock star, doing great things. He owes me, but that's another thing. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have a good day.